Welcome back to another episode of Jacking In with Geography. I'm your host, Jack Felson, and today we're going to be talking about the phrase water is life and what it means to me. When I think of water, I think of the thing I drink, the thing I clean myself with. It's everywhere, right? But for me, water is like, I think it's just more than that. Of course, it is everywhere, and of course, we do need it. But for me, on more of a personal reason, I think it connects to what I do outside of school and also outside my home, which is my work. I am a lifeguard and a swim instructor, and I work at a pool, obviously. So I have been with water, working in water forever, since about I started 2 years ago. In the pool every day, working. But I think it goes back to when I was just a baby and when my mom first got me into swimming. And I still look at some photos from when I was like a year old of me in a pool in Florida, just chilling. And that really sparked I would not say like interest because I was only like 1, but I was never the baby to like not like swimming. And I think that kind of translated into what I do now. And I've grown up with swimming lessons, and of course those are in water, and those like lessons I did get out of them because I kind of had the epiphany one day of I was like, well, I kind of already know how to swim, so why am I still taking these lessons? And those lessons have kind of translated into my work, and now I was the student, but now I've become the teacher. And I think that like interest in swimming and helping people does start from those times in Florida with my mom, and she's an excellent swimmer. And I inherited her swimming genes rather than my dad, who actually can't swim because he has this thing called he diagnosed himself with heavy leg syndrome, which personally I don't really agree with, but is a thing apparently. Anyways, so I got my swimming from her, and I would say I'm a pretty good swimmer. I mean, I am a lifeguard, so I have to be a good swimmer. And just those like countless hours in pools and being in the water has really shaped, a career that I now have. But I think it's a bit more than that. I actually haven't started swim instructing. Like, I haven't taught my own class yet. I started in January. I'm recording this on the 14th, so about a month away. Of December, 14th of December. So it's going to be interesting, that like next step up. I have gotten experience assisting teaching, and what's called an APA in the state of Toronto, which means Aquatic Program Assistant. And I did that all last year, as well as lifeguarding over the summer. And, I've just gotten like sense of teaching, how to teach. When I took my course to get certified, weirdly enough, it was like 10% teaching. Because I think teaching is such a thing where you can't really be taught it. You kind of just do it. And you learn from experience. And so going in, I am a bit nervous. Into January, I am a bit nervous for teaching classes. But I think it's going to be okay because I have that past experience. But you never know. And none of this would have been possible if I didn't have that interest in swimming to begin with. Like, I think I might have mentioned this. I was never the baby to like cry or kid to not want to swim. And seeing that there are kids who are like that and compare myself to that, I was never like that. Like, I always liked to swim. I was always in the water, comfortable in the water. I'm sure I had my times where I didn't want to do this. like when I failed my bronze cross for the first time because I didn't meet the time swim requirements, I really like took a look back and reevaluated if this is what I wanted to do. And it still was, even after that was hard. And that was honestly the hardest moment of, I think, my whole City of Toronto life-saving career, is that moment when I failed that bronze cross really put into perspective to me, like, do I actually want this? And do I want a stable job? And do I want to like prove that I can do this? Because I knew I could. I think I was off by maybe a minute. Like the requirement was you had to swim 400 meters in, I think, 10 minutes. And that is kind of a lot. And it's no big task. And like most people do it. But like, if you know me, I'm big. Like, I'm a bigger guy, and some people don't have to work for it. Or they do. But like, I don't think as much as I do. And I don't know that. But, when I failed that, like, I was in the pool 4 times a week, swimming at the Y. And before even I started working at pools, that pool at like the Y became like my second home. I would go late nights, not really early morning because I like to sleep in, but no, late nights. I kind of made a program to help me get better. And, I actually think I quit hockey. I honestly quit hockey because of swimming, which is kind of funny to think, but it kind of opened my eyes because I was missing hockey to do swimming. And I realized when I came back to hockey, I was like, wow, I actually like swimming more than I like hockey. So swimming made me quit hockey. But after I got that and I went to do my bronze cross the second time, what actually happened is that I did complete the time swim, the endurance swim. But on the underwater part of like the physical test, I was at like the very edge, and I breathed in water through my nose, and I got probably the biggest nosebleed I've ever gotten, like ever. And it lasted for more than 20 minutes, and protocol is after 20 minutes, if it's still bleeding, you have to call EMS. And they did. And it was so weird having EMS come and like help me out for just a nosebleed. And I know it's just protocol, but I had to leave, and I was happy that I'd got the swim done. Of course, because I saw my effort put together, and through that like one moment, I got it. But when the nosebleed hit, like that was pretty bad, and I had to leave because of it. I was kind of torn up because the rest of the part I found was kind of easy, but I had to leave and I didn't really want to come back. Like, I think I just lost a ton of blood, so I'm not really trying to go back and finish the course. So I left, and I rescheduled it for the next week because the course is only like 2 days. And the guy was so nice, my instructor, same instructor. I had passed the underwater stuff, so he knew not to just do it again, which was like really like he was a G for that. And then I completed the time swim again, and I passed. I passed that course. And then, so I got my bronze cross. And then the next step was my NL, or National Lifeguard. And that I kind of took a bit of a break because I could have got it, but it was like time consuming. It was 2 weeks, and I don't really think I was there yet. Oh, no, it was an age requirement. I had to be a certain age. You have to be, I think, 16 when I did it, but 16. I think it was 15 and I was 14. Something like that. But now they lowered because they need more lifeguards. Anyways, so I worked as an APA for my first year working, and it was pretty good. I got to learn from people and their teaching styles. I worked at One Young Community Center, which is the newest community center, actually. It was quite nice, small pool. I worked 2 days a week. I worked 2 days a week there, one day at another pool. And, it was quite nice. I had to learn, feel for the job, small environment. It was great. Nice people and good staff. I wouldn't say it was like a big pool because it wasn't. It was it was in a building essentially. It was nice. Easy to commute, all that. And then on Sundays, I worked at Pam McConnell in Regent Park, which is I would say one of the nicer ones, community centers. And that was good too. I had to learn from different people there. And I think I use this analogy a lot, and not many people get it, is that being an APA is being Dan Campbell, the coach of the Lions, when he was the coach of the Dolphins and left to work under Sean Payton, the head coach of the Saints. Because he was an OC and an assistant under Sean Payton, and kind of like an APA under the head instructor. And he learned, Sean Payton, one of the best coaches in the league. And then he goes off and he becomes one of the best coaches in the league now, coaching the Lions. And that is like a very niche reference that you need like a certain type of people to understand. But like that is what being an APA is like. You're working under someone. And that really, like after that season, I really wanted to become a swim instructor. But you do need your NL. And so next year, it'd been like about a year since I got mine in February of 2025, my NL, during the exam season. It was honestly awesome. And because, there's like a 2-week break where you kind of have classes, you don't have classes. And grade 10 was honestly pretty easy, so I didn't really have to worry that much about exams. Down to grade 11, though. Grade 11, exam will lock in. But, yeah, so I got my NL in February, and that course was pretty good, too. Mostly life-saving. The guy running it was nice, but the guy who did my examination, did not like him because of how immature he was. But I got my NL, and I missed a car. So it had been about a year since I had swam, and so I had to re-lock in to do all the swimming. So I'm back in the pool 4 days a week, no hockey this time, which is nice. And, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm getting my stories mixed up. I quit hockey over doing swimming for my NL, not my bronze cross. Same sort of thing. But the swimming was honestly the hardest part. Being in that pool, learning, building from the ground up was really hard. And because it's like anything, with atrophy. You're awesome at it, and then if you don't do it for a while, you go back to being not so great at it. And so it took a while, but I was there, and for this entire time, I was not timing myself. But every week it felt better. So I was making progress, but I never timed myself. So I had no idea going to my NL if I was actually going to do it or not. And the pool at the Y was, I think, 25 meters, which is good. So I think they do weird scaling, so I think I had 10 minutes to swim 400 meters. And so I never timed myself. I just thought, F it, we ball. We're going to get this. And honestly, it would have sucked if I didn't get it, because when I got my NL, it was the perfect week with that weird kind of off exam week. And the day right after I got it, it was my birthday. So if I didn't get it and then I had to go to my birthday, that would have sucked. But I did get it. Certified lifeguard. And I started working. Not in the spring, but in the summer, I applied to work at Birchmount Community Center, where I work now, as both an APA and lifeguard. 9 to 5, my first real 9 to 5, Monday through Friday job, kind of. And it was honestly great. People were so nice. The community center I grew up going to with my dad, my friends, and my mom. And so it was neat to work at a place that I had already been to and I kind of grew up with. And I think about this a lot when you go to a pool, or when I went to a pool, you don't really think about the lifeguards. And being a lifeguard now, and thinking back to that, you realize how much how much you didn't know about being a lifeguard now that I am a lifeguard. So I think that part is really interesting. And there was like so many people I worked with, and they all had like different teaching styles. And it was honestly like a sitcom, honestly, like a show. Like I felt honestly we were sometimes like in a show. Like we went on strike for a few weeks. We that honestly going on strike was terrible. And it didn't really accomplish anything. Like kind of, but like not really. Like the PICs like means pool in charge were really nice and kind of like mentors almost. My boss is nice. I don't know. I just had like I found every week there was a new thing that was happening, and and there was like a water cycle, you know, the water cycle. But like this was kind of my water cycle. If that makes sense. Like going from swimming at this pool to getting all my certifications to working at the pool. And I never did lessons there, which would have been like another layer. I did lessons at different pool. But now that I'm gonna teach lessons at that pool, it has really become full circle. And I have gone and I haven't really gotten the chance to like express that. And I do think about it, but to like actually voice it is great. And now that I have this outlet to talk about it through the Water is Life segment, I think that is really what it means to me. That like the water is not life, more of my job, which is like half my life. No, more like a quarter. And as always, like lifeguarding is ultimately kind of boring. So I am glad I got this. I am glad I got the certification to become a swim instructor, and I'm a bit nervous to teach because I haven't got my own class before, and then I don't know like what if I screw up, but what if Ryan Reynolds comes to the pool? Like I shouldn't be in my head that much, and it's just a new step. Like I'll get it down. I'm working with friends, people that I know, people that I have worked with, so I don't think it's gonna be terrible. I think it's gonna be good. It's not gonna be terrible. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Well, it's about 19 minutes. It's probably a bit shorter than 19 minutes because I'm gonna edit this a bit. But that's really what it means to me. Water is life. It's just a part of my life outside of school, outside of my family, where I kind of get to dissociate from all that and focus on my work. And a new chapter begins in January with teaching. So I'm really excited about that. I know this hasn't been like the most geological episode, but I feel this prompt was a bit open-ended, so I kind of just talked about that. Anyways, I think this is the best episode so far. We'll see next episode is about landforms, awe-inspiring landforms, and guess what? It's gonna be waterfalls. Another thing about water. Anyways, I guess we know what bender I would be if I was an avatar. Water. Anyways, this has been Jacking In with Geography. I'm your host, Jack Phillison, and I'm glad this episode was pretty long, and I'm glad I got to voice my outlet. Anyways, goodbye, and see you in the next one about waterfalls. Psh.